Hey guys, what's up? How is everybody doing? Officially welcome to the start of NFL Week 7 DFS. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, and this is the NFL Week 7 DFS sneak peek video here at No Huddle Fantasy Sports. And as always, I thank you guys so much for finding your way here to the channel. More importantly, clicking on this particular video, this DFS NFL video. Hopefully you're here because you like NFL DFS, you like NFL content in general. If not, well, welcome, and hopefully you stick around. But before we get started, the only thing I ask of you guys, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And more importantly, like these videos if you find them helpful. This particular video, give it a like. It's the only thing I ask of you guys. I do put a ton of time into this content, into this channel, into these particular videos. I do a ton of research. I'm not just giving out picks that I think randomly will go off. There's a reasoning behind all of it and a ton of research behind all of it. And so for this free content, the only thing I ask of you guys is make sure you help support me. Just give this video a like and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. But what are we doing here today? What are these videos? Well, these are always the sneak peek videos that come out Monday or Tuesday every single week. Look ahead videos, however you want to refer to them. All we're going to do here is dive into FanDuel, check out a particular contest for the main slate DFS on Sunday, and talk about some things that stick out, whether that's pricing, matchups, players, whatever it might be. I have not done a ton of research before this particular video. All we know is what we saw in week 6, in prior weeks before that. We know some of the stats that are out there, some of the teams that you want to attack in terms of fantasy football, in terms of your quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. So we'll put that all together and we'll just take a look for the first time at this upcoming slate. Now, I will say, looking at the slate, it's pretty juicy. There's a ton of exciting matchups. There's a ton of exciting things to talk about. Let's first just jump into a contest. Hopefully I selected the right, this is not the right thing. You can see I'm obviously delaying here. We're going to navigate over to NFL. I mentioned already, there are a ton of matchups. In fact, there's several games this week, unlike week 6, where we have over-unders exceeding 55 points. Now, we haven't seen that in quite some time. We had a couple good weeks earlier this year where we saw things like that. But in general, this week, some matchups I do want to mention before we even get started are, number 1, Detroit and Atlanta. So first of all, we have Detroit Lions playing in Atlanta. The over-under on that particular game as of right now is 57, with a -2.5 spread in favor of the home team, the Atlanta Falcons. Why is that great? Well, obviously 57 points is an extremely high total over-under on that game. But more importantly, we know both defenses are susceptible against the pass, against quarterbacks, wide receivers, really good teams to attack in terms of those types of players. In addition to that, we have a -2.5 spread in favor of Atlanta, so the game will remain close. There's tons of points to be had in this game. It's a great game for fantasy football, DFS in general. Beyond that, though, there's a couple other games that are definitely standing out. We have the Green Bay Packers playing in Houston against the Texans here. 56 over-under in that game. Another very, very high total. -3.5 for Green Bay, so they are a road favorite. But again, a really close spread, so the game should remain close, hopefully, if Vegas is correct. And there should be a ton of points scored by both teams. We know the Houston Texans secondary is one you can attack through the air. Green Bay Packers, in my opinion, you can attack on the ground. So I'm really excited about that particular matchup. And the other one I want to point out, I won't obviously discuss every game here. Things will change. But the Seattle Seahawks playing in Arizona against the Cardinals. You see a 56.5 over-under on that game with a -3.5 spread in favor, again, of a away team, the Seahawks, 5-0. So we have a ton of points to be scored there. Again, another close spread. These are the things you want to consider ahead of time when trying to narrow your player pool down. And so those are certainly games and particular teams that we will consider. Outside of that, though, let's start with this slate. Let's see what we're dealing with at the quarterback position, knowing some things early on. So I do want to mention, I like Pro Football Focus. I think it helps get your groundwork in terms of matchups, in terms of defenses that you can attack based upon how they've graded defenses. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are a team that you can attack through the air, but unfortunately, they are playing the Washington Redskins, who have, Kyle Allen playing, so I don't think we're going to go there this week. But certainly the Raiders, the Vikings, the Saints, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Jets, the Texans, I talked about them already, the Jaguars, Atlanta, all teams that are definitely teams you can and should take quarterbacks against. Several of those teams aren't on the slate, but we saw last week Matt Ryan absolutely light up Minnesota. On the flip side, we saw Kirk Cousins, who barely made it out of the half with 3 interceptions, come back in and have a very good fantasy football football game against the Atlanta Falcons. So those are the games that we want to target, games just like that here. And I think we have a bunch on this particular slate. Now, Patrick Mahomes, you can play him any given week playing on the road here in Denver. I think it's like a 13-point spread in favor of Kansas City with a low total on that game. So I don't think I'm going to go there, but certainly a safe play on the road in Denver. Josh Allen has not been playing particularly well over the last couple of weeks. You can see here, if we go just to his game log, had several games above 300 yards and then just really fell off a cliff. Now, he did have 42 rushing yards. That was kind of out of necessity against Kansas City yesterday at 5 o'clock, but 122 passing yards. He's scoring touchdowns, I guess. If he didn't score those touchdowns, this would be a really, really bad play. I think he's too expensive at $8,800. He's playing the Jets. They're going to be huge favorites. I think they just try to control this game, get in, get out. Playing against, again, a really bad secondary of the Jets, a team I would consider playing away quarterbacks against. For $8,800, Josh Allen has not been playing well. Now, maybe we'll change our mind as we get closer and do some more research, but you really need a lot out of Josh Allen, and he has not been doing that lately. So probably for now, we'll pass on that price tag. Now, Russell Wilson, probably the most expensive guy at this moment I am interested in. He's $8,700, so he's only saving you $300 off Mahomes. But he's playing in Arizona. Those games in Arizona can be shootouts. They move very, very fast. Russell Wilson in Seattle, their defense isn't very good this year. It should be a bit of a shootout. We talked about a 56.5 over-under. We want to go there. They're like 3.5-point favorites, so the game should remain close. He's on the road. They've passed a lot. They're not relying on the run very much. I do like Russell Wilson, and he's certainly an MVP candidate right now. Has done a lot this year. All over the place. He's giving you rushing yards. He's giving you passing yards. He's throwing for multiple touchdowns per game. I do definitely like Russell Wilson as an expensive play. And I also like Kyler Murray, $8,400. Price is coming up. Finally has put together a couple of good games in a row here. We saw him exceed 300 yards the week before, last week really, 380 there. Threw a couple touchdowns last night, or should I say, last night. 188 yards though, definitely not getting it done there, but is still giving you that upside with rushing, has scored rushing touchdowns. Kenyon Drake scored 2 touchdowns, and he probably had 3 if Kyler Murray gave him the ball. So definitely in play with his rushing floor, that really, really helps him. I do like attacking that game. We talked about it already from a Vegas standpoint. So Kyler Murray definitely in play at $8,400. Aaron Rodgers in Houston, I just don't find myself playing Rodgers too much. Luckily, I didn't play him last week, and I considered it, depending on that defense that ended up being healthy in Tampa Bay, and you really saw Rodgers do nothing. Tampa Bay is a vicious defense right now, both in terms of stopping the run and stopping the pass. So in general, I don't think I'm going to be paying up for Aaron Rodgers at $8,100. I'd rather just go with Wilson or Murray, but definitely a good spot for him in Houston. Comeback spot, get right spot, however you want to refer to it as. Houston has really struggled against the pass this year. He's on the road, so Devontae Adams, him, should have their way, but it's going to be very expensive. I don't know if I'll go there. On the flip side, Deshaun Watson has been putting together game after game after game as of late. Obviously, they fired their head coach, and he has really turned it around basically since that firing. He has 300-plus yards in 3 straight games, has multiple touchdowns in every one of those games. Has been running the ball a bit more. You're seeing 25-plus yards. That's really good. I like him. I like him at home. Not as much as I would on the road, but $8,000. The run game isn't great. I'll talk about, I guess, the run game in a bit here against Green Bay. But I do like Watson. He's the reason they win games, or in this case, they're losing games. But he's definitely the guy that's in play with his rushing upside. Matt Ryan, I do like him. I liked him last week. We did well with Matt Ryan. Playing him as my second favorite quarterback, unfortunately. But we played a lot of Matt Ryan. Now he's at home versus Detroit. You can go right back there. I don't think their running game is very good. They're losing games. They don't have a defense. 371, 4 touchdowns. That's what you want out of Matt Ryan. Can we get that again? I don't know. Detroit is a team you can attack through the air. I do like Matt Ryan. As probably in this, whatever tier you would call this. I don't think it's top tier. I think Wilson ends your top tier. Maybe your high middle tier probably caps out at Matt Ryan. Then this middle tier here, I do like Justin Herbert. I think he's in a good spot playing at home versus Jacksonville. Basically, he looked really good last week with a bad offensive line. Dude is slinging it downfield. His weapons should be healthy in Williams and Keenan Allen. Henry's there. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Josh Kelly looks like absolute garbage. I don't know why they keep feeding him the ball. But in general, I do like him. He's an attractive option at that price of $7,500. And then probably last but not least here, Matt Stafford at $7,300. I talked about that game. There's 57 in terms of an over-under in this game. Matt Stafford's an underdog. We played him last week. He did not work. Let's go back to the well here. Let's hopefully ownership will be down on him too. But he's the cheapest guy here at $7,300 of everyone I talked about. Galladay's in. Marvin Jones is back. He has Hawkinson at tight end. He has good weapons. Atlanta can't stop a soul on defense, particularly in the passing game. So I do like Matt Stafford. So let's build a lineup as always here, or just throw players together and see what fits. But I'll put Matt Stafford as my cheap guy. Now, running back this week I think is a mess. There's not a lot of options here to look at in general. We can kind of scroll through here and pick out some names. But there's not a lot of guys that check the boxes, and the boxes we want, right? We want to get guys that are playing at home that are good favorites. So basically, Alvin Kamara stands out at the top here. He's playing at home for New Orleans. They're like 7.5, 8-point favorites at home. He gets a ton of time, a ton of usage, both in the passing game and on the ground. Now, Murray does steal some runs from him, and you probably can consider Murray this week against Carolina. But in general, those are the backs we want. So right off the bat here, if you take Elliott, Kamara, and Henry, who am I going with? Definitely Kamara in this situation, even on FanDuel when it's only half-point PPR. Elliott's on the road for Dallas. They are looking really bad. At least they did against Arizona last night. He's playing Washington now. That's a good spot. Washington's defense has taken a hit since they've gotten some injuries and changing quarterback. It's just been a mess in Washington in general. They don't have a name for their freaking team. So Elliott is in play, I think. But as of right now, if you want me to pick a guy off the top here that stands out, that is definitely Kamara. And Derrick Henry playing at home, certainly, again, in play just based on what he can do. Pittsburgh's a mean defense, so good luck there. Aaron Jones, against Houston, I guess he's in play, but right off the bat here, early on, sneak peek, look ahead, $8,500 for Aaron Jones on the road in Houston. I think I will pass. Mike Davis, same deal here. Probably his last week playing. And by the way, we might get Christian McCaffrey back, so we have to pay attention to that news. But Mike Davis, I'm not sure I want to go there on the road in New Orleans. Chris Carson, I don't think I want to go there for $7,600 in Arizona. Not getting a ton of overall usage. Starting to see probably the most passing, the most receiving of his career this year, but just, I don't know. I just don't like that play right now. Joe Mixon's a little banged up, but they did say he could have come back in at the end of the game, so he should be available against Cleveland this week. I might like to go here. Now, he's playing at home, so he checks that box. He's a guy that gets 70-80% of the usage for that team. You can see here 25 carries, 24 carries. We obviously, because FanDuel screws up everything in terms of stats, don't have anything there. He gets all the usage on the goal line. It's kind of what you want for $7,400, and we just saw Cleveland kind of getting eaten up on the ground by James Conner and company. So I do like Joe Mixon. Let's fit him in here. So basically, our goal, as always, between flex and these two running back spots is to get hopefully 60 touches. I think we can get that there. We're pretty close already. But James Conner here on the road in Tennessee, I think I will pass. Kareem Hunt, not really interested. Not really interested in Edwards-Helaire on the road. Now, Melvin Gordon, Denver versus Kansas City, $6,700. Really, I'm interested in Melvin Gordon and or Lindsey, depending on how the other is. So I guess we could skip down here. I'll try to find him. I think he's a good price. So if Melvin Gordon is out again for either suspension reasons, sickness reasons, whatever it might be, $6,000 for Philip Lindsay does stand out to me. I think that is a good price. Guy got 100 yards, shown he can do it on the ground as, I guess, a lead dog here. But if they're both playing, it's going to be a 50-50 timeshare. I'm not interested in either one of them. But keep that in mind. Philip Lindsay at $6K is in play should Gordon be out. Todd Gurley could be in play at $6,600. Getting usage, getting touchdowns. Do you want to rely on touchdowns? I don't. But this is what I think you get out of Todd Gurley any given week. 20 carries, 47 yards. 2.7 yards per carry. That's what I think you get out of Todd Gurley. I'm not interested in that. They're going to trail a lot. It's just not where I've been going. Mostert is hurt and should definitely be out. Now, we have to see if Coleman's in, but if Coleman is out, I think you can, even though it's a good defense, I think you can come down here to Jerick McKinnon, $5,500. In fact, I think for now, let's assume that Mostert and Coleman are out, and we need to save some money. So $5,500 for McKinnon. Even though he's on the road, he gets good usage in the passing game. I like that spot for sure. But other guys here, James Robinson, not yet, at least interested in that. David Johnson, if you want to attack Green Bay, I think you do it on the ground here. He's been getting good usage. He's been playing a lot of snaps. I think he's approaching 80+% of the snaps on this team. 19 carries. He's getting the carries, not doing a lot in terms of a talent with those carries, but definitely I think a good spot here for him. $6,300 at home. Should they get the lead, he should continue to get more usage on the ground there, and he has seen some usage in the passing game. I believe Justin Jackson is the guy to own in DFS or in season long over Josh Kelly. I think Josh Kelly is bad. So if you're not playing Herbert, I do like Justin Jackson. $6,100. Looked good when he ran the ball. When he got, he was spelling Kelly. Kelly is bad. There's no other way to say it. Kenyon Drake, we saw him for $6,000 actually turn out a good performance finally last night against Dallas. 20 carries, not listed here, but he got 20 carries on the ground. He was just getting no usage in the passing game, but on FanDuel, that's okay. We want the guys that are getting end zone usage. You want touchdowns on FanDuel, and I think Kenyon Drake definitely is in play again this week. But outside of that, I don't want to go too much lower here. We threw in McKinnon just to make it work. Latavius Murray, I talked about, you can get some usage out of him. If they go up big, you could see a good heavy dosage of Murray. Murray's getting usage, just generally getting usage behind Kamara. You can see he has double-digit touches in multiple games this season. So I think he's definitely a viable option at a cheaper price tag. So I think that's good for now at the running back position. Moving over to wide receiver, might as well skip down to Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay in a great spot again this week. Had over 100 yards last week. Didn't find the end zone. Could have really blew up if he did find the end zone. Really, that Stafford stack that we played was just robbed by running back scores in the goal line area. So anything can happen. If they play action and Kenny Golladay catches a score, you have 2 or 3 scores for Matt Stafford and Golladay. It's a different ball game, but in general, still really performed with 105 yards and only 4 catches. I do like Kenny Golladay again this week at that mid-price wide receiver. Now, all these guys at the top, I would leave out Michael Thomas for now, but Hopkins, Adams, Ridley, Jones, I think all of those guys are definitely in play. We're going to come back with one of these guys. I guess for now, it's going to be my guy, Calvin Ridley here. I think he's one of the best receivers in the league, but it's really hurting our price tag here. We're going to have to see how this works. But in general, that's my thoughts at the top here. Tyreek Hill is probably going to go under-owned because of his performance, because no one's going to be playing Mahomes this week. I think Tyreek Hill is definitely a guy that's in play. Don't understand why Lockett is priced above Metcalf. Metcalf is the guy to own out of that. So if you're playing your lineups of Russell Wilson, both these guys, of course, in play. My favorite would be Metcalf here. Price is up on a lot of these guys. It's getting tough to fit certain players. Will Fuller, if you're playing Watson, certainly always in play. We saw Cooks go off finally a couple of weeks in a row there, so really good performances by him. Juju Smith-Schuster has been pretty bad. Chase Claypool has been pretty great for Pittsburgh. So on the road, definitely guys to consider there if you suspect they should be down. CeeDee Lamb has been good for Dallas, and as of late, though, still got 7 receptions. Andy Dalton, I guess, throwing the ball short, throwing it to the slot. CeeDee Lamb definitely in play against Washington there, especially if you're not playing your Elliott's. I mentioned Brandon Cooks did blow up. Let's throw a defense in here just to help our pricing out a little bit. We'll come down to the Texans against Green Bay. We'll see how that works. But wide receiver looking a little weak as we come down into pricing here. Mike Williams, if you're going to go with somebody to pair with Herbert, I think Mike Williams against Jacksonville is a really good spot there. Again, we like to take wide receivers. We'd like to take quarterbacks that are on the road. That tends to work a little bit better. Christian Kirk caught a couple of touchdowns last night, so looked really good. I think that's a good spot for him. Let's go ahead and do that. Only a couple of receptions, but had 86 yards. I think that's going to help our lineups here a little bit. Let's move over to tight end. We are getting a little long in the tooth here. Now, tight end, we always pay down, right? I think Travis Kelce is definitely in play. George Kittle, we're going to suspect that New England, Bill Belichick, does what they do to everyone. They shut down your main weapon. It's going to definitely be George Kittle. We saw them shut down Waller, so I probably won't be going with George Kittle. Jared Cook is in a solid spot, but definitely probably not going to pay that much money for him. TJ Hawkinson, you can pair him for sure with Matt Stafford. In fact, if I had the money here, I would do it. I do really like Hunter Henry, though, at $5,800. I think that's a great price on him. I like Hayden Hurst at $5,600. I like Dalton Schultz. We saw him still get usage with Andy Dalton at quarterback, so Dalton and Dalton there. Eric Ebron kind of let us down. Logan Thomas scored his first touchdown, so of course we didn't play him then. But in general, tight end's always, the last position I fill. If I can fit them with some stacks, I try to do it. If not, then we just make it work. But Hayden Hurst for sure in play. I think he fits nicely here with this lineup. But again, that's really it. We covered a lot of plays there very quickly. A lot of this will change, but hopefully this gives you guys an idea of where my head's at, where my head is at, where I think some spots are that you can exploit this week. Of course, those 55 plus over/under games that are really close spreads are where we want to go with a lot of our players, at least early on. A lot of these guys seem priced up. Running back looks pretty weak this week. Quarterback looks good. I think there's a lot of options at quarterback. As a result, there's a lot of options at wide receiver. And then tight end is tight end, right? Choose your defense and choose your defense. But in general, that's kind of the outlook early on for this week. Week 7 DFS, NFL DFS. Hopefully these videos are helpful for you guys. Please remember to be subscribed to the channel. Please remember to give these videos a like. Outside of that, leave me some comments down below. Things will change. Things will evolve as the week goes on. We will dig in again this week. We'll look to continue to plow ahead with this train. We've done great in NFL DFS. So I know you guys expect nothing less but the best research here, and that's what I will deliver. So this is No Huddle Fantasy Sports. Good luck in anything this week you're doing. Good luck in DFS this weekend if I don't see you in the next video. But if not, hopefully I do see you in the next video here later in the week, and I will catch you in that next video.